Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about TOPdesk. And specifically, this is we're revisiting the ITSM guide that I made a bunch of videos for at the end of 2024. So it's now July 2025. Uh, I finally got access to TOPdesk. Actually, that's not true. I got access to TOPdesk a while ago, but other things were front and center. So I just haven't had a chance to record this video, and I haven't had a chance to put it in the ITSM guide. So if you go and download the current version of the ITSM guide, you won't see anything about TopDesk. You can download that version from the link down below. And if you uh, put your email address in at that link down below, when the ITSM guide is updated with information about TopDesk and a couple other platforms as well that I've had the chance to look at, um, you'll get notified when there's a new version and it'll have all that information in it. So in this video, I want to show you not everything about TopDesk, but in the same spirit as the ITSM guide was last year. I'm going to compare it to Cherwell and kind of highlight some of the things that I think are worth taking a look at. Um, just like all those other videos, I'm not going to go one by one down all of the features that I was specifically looking at. I'm not going to compare TopDesk dashboards to Cherwell dashboards and TopDesk forms to Cherwell forms and that sort of thing. I'm going to look specifically at some things that I found unique or interesting or helpful, specifically in TopDesk. Um, so if you are new to the channel, of course, subscribe, like the video, and feel free to check out the other videos that I have about all of the other ITSM platforms that I looked at as part of the ITSM guide. And if you have questions about any of our software or even any of these ITSM platforms, there's links down below to join our Discord server or our user group. But in this video, let's talk about TopDesk. So I'm just going to switch over to, I logged in as a technician, I suppose. I'm not sure exactly what TopDesk calls it, but this is uh, a user who is specifically um, kind of an admin user and is primarily for the service desk. So TopDesk, right off the bat, is a fully an ESM platform. So not just IT, but also facilities, and you can see some of the things down here in this widget here. So we have IT services, facilities management, those sorts of things, human resources. Um, this particular widget is a little bit weird the way it's constructed, but within TopDesk, it's not just IT, it is definitely full ESM. But I'm going to focus on the IT side just because most people moving from Cherwell are were using Cherwell for IT. Plenty of people use Cherwell for HR and facilities as well, but pretty much everybody was using Cherwell at least for IT. So the first thing I want to show in TopDesk is this sidebar here. You can collapse it and expand it. Okay, that's cool, but that's not necessarily anything unique. Lots of platforms have something like that. But this is not the menu. This up here at the top, this is the full menu. This is how you get to potentially everything in the system. What this is, I believe is they call it like the quick launch bar or something like that. Yeah, quick launch bar. This is basically your set of bookmarks for the things that you use on a regular basis. So you can see here in mine, which is this is out of the box in this demo instance. I didn't do any customization to this. We have bookmarks, color card, some new tickets, essentially, Project Explorer, modules, knowledge base. So I can add basically anything from the system into this bar. So new cards, which is basically a new ticket. Card kind of refers to ticket, and you'll see why in a second. Um, but you can also see new reports, new KPIs, main pages, all sorts of things. And you can narrow it down by module as well. And this roughly corresponds to kind of the ITIL disciplines. So self-service portal call management is roughly incident management, problem change, project operations, item management. Not sure why asset management shows up here twice. And then there's a few others, right? So you can sort through those and you can add pretty much whatever you want, uh, including, I think, uh, these are basically shortcuts to any URL. So you could potentially add a shortcut to our Cortex application if you wanted, um, all to your quick launch bar. So let's take a look at what does it look like to create a new first line call. So this is basically your incident form. And from here, you have lots of different options. None of these are, particularly crazy. One of the things that I found a little bit interesting is that kind of the metadata fields are over on the left side, and then the kind of the conversation is over on the right side. A lot of other platforms have the metadata stuff kind of on a sidebar, and then the main part of the window is the actual conversation, resolving the ticket, getting more information, that sort of thing. Um, just a stylistic difference, I suppose. I don't know that one is necessarily right and the other is wrong, um, but this is how TOPdesk does it. You can also see related items through here. Again, this is not necessarily any different from any other platform, but obviously this is a little bit different from how Cherwell did it because Cherwell, um, by default, had kind of that summary across the top, and then obviously you had the ability to completely customize your tabs however you wanted. Whereas here, it's pretty much general is the ticket itself, and then everything else is related items. The other thing that's kind of cool to TOPdesk, and at the time, I think TOPdesk may have been the only system that did this. Now they are not. There are other systems that do this. They have tabs across the top. So this is not browser tabs. These are actually tabs within the TOPdesk application. Um, so if I open up a new second line call, it adds a new tab here. These are my browser tabs over on the left side. But here is a TOPdesk tab, and I'm still within the same window within TOPdesk, just switching between, their concept of tabs. And I can close, and I'm going to discard because I didn't actually make any changes there. Um, and I don't really want to create a ticket. Now, some other things that TOPdesk has, and why things were referred to as cards, is because a lot of the visualizations are very Kanban board oriented. Um, So you can actually get to this through the TOPdesk menu and then Kanban board, and then you can see the board. And this is basically everything that's in progress. I'm sure there's a way to see it in a list form, uh, probably task board. Trying to see it. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So you can see it as a Kanban board. You can see it as a list of tasks, a list of items, and these are all the calls, incidents, right? Now, one thing that's on everyone's mind is customization, right? And with Cherwell, obviously, customization was a huge part of the platform. So how do we do that in TOPdesk? Well, if you go TOPdesk menu and then settings, you get to this settings page. And now there's navigation. Of course, it's navigation within navigation within navigation. But this navigator is every setting that you can possibly change in the system. Um, and there are way more settings here than we could possibly go through in, I would say, any number of videos. So for a lot of these, you'll just have to go to the documentation and check out what some of them are. But pretty much anything you might want to change is customizable. Most of where you'll spend your time is probably in the module settings. And similarly to the quick launch bar settings, these are broken down roughly by ITIL discipline, ITIL practice, um, call management, problem management, change management. They use the same terminology throughout the system, so you can see everything kind of broken down by the particular area that you're concerned with. Now, within the service management aspect, or within the management aspect, I suppose, um, service self-service portal services and call management all kind of work together, right? That all three of those are something that you would need to do, basic incident management. So the way they've broken those down is call management handles some of the details of the actual forms and the technician side of things, including what they call drop-down lists, which are your call type, impact, urgency, priority, duration, all that good stuff. Closure code, right? All of this is customizable. So you can say it was closed because, wrong phase of moon, right? Insert special closure code here. Status is also completely customizable. One thing that is interesting and significant for TOPdesk is this not on hold versus on hold value for each particular status. Uh, and my assumption is that that has to do with the SLA calculation. Um, so obviously completed, SLA is on hold, SLA stops, the clock stops running. Solved, clock continues running until it is completed. Right, waiting for customer, obviously SLA is on pause. Um, and you can add individual statuses. I'm not entirely sure how you uh, create the workflow and indicate which statuses can go to which other statuses, but I'm sure there's a way to specify that in here as well. Um, you also get into things like optional fields and custom fields. Custom fields more likely show up in optional fields up here for individual services. So this is essentially your specifics that you had in Cherwell. So for a particular service, you can provide specific fields, or this might be for all services. Not entirely sure. The UI doesn't um, explain everything, maybe to the extent that I would have expected. Um, but to be honest, Cherwell didn't really either. You had to know Cherwell in order to know Cherwell, right? There were courses that you could do. You could do the administration course with Cherwell. You could do the developer course with Cherwell. I think there were a couple others, and that gave you kind of the knowledge that you needed, the foundational knowledge that you needed in order to understand how Cherwell was put together and configured, and how you can make it your own. Um, I imagine you'd have to go look at the documentation in a lot of cases to figure out some of this stuff. Which I mean, hopefully you're not spending too much time customizing everything over and over and over again. So that might not be the end of the world. And then, of course, you have the self-service portal where you can set uh, additional settings. And this is more for the um, what in Cheryl would have been called the customer side, right? So the portal, right? Um, can the user close their own calls? Can they view calls? Can they reply? Okay. All of this is fairly straightforward, fairly unsurprising. Um, what fields can they see, right? On the detailed view, can they see the impact and the urgency and that priority? Um, Out of the box, they cannot. So that is 100% a call management thing. So if we go to like first line calls, right, you see priority, duration, suppliers, but urgency and impact are even disabled here. So if we're just focusing on priority, we enable that, and that's what we get. Um, and if we went to new first line call, we would probably see that as well. So priority, but we don't see um, impact and urgency. Let's go add impact and urgency and hit save. And let's just create a new first line call. There we go. We have impact and urgency in addition to priority, right? So straightforward, but you get to choose from specific fields that are, kind of for the metadata section, and then Custom fields are, it looked like tab oriented. So if we go back to where was that, services and optional fields, there are custom tabs that we can add. Tab name, right? And this is in, well, not English. We'll go with not English. I don't want to offend anyone by guessing the language and being totally wrong. Um, yeah, so all in all, TopDesk is pretty customizable. Out of the box, it's really well positioned for ESM. Um, and I kind of like that quick launch bar. I don't know that I've seen it in any other platform. Maybe I have and I just totally missed it. But that's kind of cool, right? It's a little bit more uh, helpful than just like a bookmarks bar. Um, but I can really kind of customize my own environment to the way I want it to be. And now that I think about it, I've actually had a few conversations recently about how people configured their Cherwell environment to work for them. They would create a custom dashboard, which was basically their own quick launch bar, that would have buttons to go create a new incident or buttons to specific searches or to go to other dashboards or something like that. And it was basically their home screen, their home dashboard. And I feel like that's what this quick launch bar is. So that's pretty cool. That's something that Cherwell had to a certain extent that very few other platforms have, or at least advertise. Uh, but that being said, you're not limited to just what's on your quick launch bar. You can always go to that main menu and get anywhere you need to in the application. So that is a super high level, super surface level view of TopDesk. Um, they do have a demo that you can sign up for. Um, and if that demo is not enough, I've been talking with their sales folks. If you want a little bit more, let me know, and I can connect you with the people who have been helping me with this environment and getting this set up so that I could show you what I just showed you. Again, this information will be in the ITSM guides the next time we release a version, which I'm hoping will be by the end of the year. I know that's a low bar. So it could be, it's July right now, could be August timeframe, depending on how much we end up adding to it. Certainly TopDesk will get added to it. There might be a couple other platforms that will add to it as well. Uh, but if you want to see the ITSM guide, go put your email in at the link down below. You'll get the current version of the ITSM guide, and then when we release the next version, you'll get that as well. With that, thank you for watching. Go check out some other videos on the channel, and let me know what you think about uh, where you're moving after Cherwell, whether it's TopDesk or one of the other platforms that we've demoed, or even a completely different platform. And I know there are plenty of ITSM platforms that we haven't done a demo of, or haven't even done a discussion of, and I'm curious to see where you're moving. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.